Have you ever been driving late at night, your mind a little fuzzy, and suddenly realized you don't recognize the road you're on? You probably just took a wrong turn, right? But what if you didn't? What if you turned onto a road that doesn't want you to leave? This isn't just one story from one place. It's a pattern of whisper found in dusty police reports, obscure insurance claims, anonymous highway maintenance logs from countries all over the world. The locations change, but the road is always the same. It has no official name, no designation on any map. Drivers who have found it, or perhaps been found by it, describe it as a highway exit they'd never noticed before. No warning signs, no construction cones, no detour notices. It's just a clean, well-lit ramp that looks like it's always been there, waiting patiently. Most people take it by accident, a moment of distraction, a song on the radio that pulls you away. Maybe you miss your usual landmark, or you just make a turn that feels so smooth, so natural, that you don't even question it. At first, everything feels perfectly normal. The asphalt is pristine. The lane markings are freshly painted, and the streetlights cast a steady, unwavering glow. It's almost perfect. Then, the small, unsettling details begin to creep in. The first thing most people notice is the radio. It doesn't just cut to static or lose signal. It goes completely silent. A heavy, profound silence that feels like it's swallowing all other sound. You check your phone. It has full power. The GPS app opens, but the map is a void. It shows your position, a tiny blue dot, but there's no road beneath it, no route line, no street names. It's just a blank, digital expanse, as if the entire system refuses to acknowledge the existence of the very ground you're driving on. Still, you don't panic, not yet. You're a logical person. You figure it's a new bypass, an unlisted service road. It has to reconnect with the main highway soon. So, you keep driving. You look for an exit, a sign, anything. But there are no exits. Not to the left, not to the right. Just endless, perfect roads stretching out before you and behind you. For a few miles, or what feels like a few miles, you start to notice the scenery. It's familiar. You see a particular sound barrier wall with a unique graffiti tag, then a distinct cluster of 3 birch trees, then an old, abandoned billboard with faded lettering, and you keep driving, and then you see it again. The same wall, the same trees, the same billboard. You try to rationalize it. It's a planned community. They use repeating designs. But a nagging feeling grows in your gut. You swear you've passed this exact spot before. And then you pass it again, and again. One man, a long-haul trucker, thought he was just bored and losing his mind. He turned on his dash cam to record his trip, something to watch later. When his family turned the footage over to the police, the investigators found something chilling. At the 22-minute mark, the dash cam captured a specific highway sign. The footage continues. At the 28-minute mark, the same sign appears, and again at 34 minutes, and again at 40 minutes. They analyzed it frame by frame. It was identical. The same pattern of rust along the edge. The same missing bolt in the lower right corner. The exact same bird droppings splattered across the top. He was driving in a loop, but on a road that was perfectly straight. Time itself starts to warp on this road. Your car's clock and your watch still tick forward. The sun, if it was up, stays locked in the same position in the sky. Night, if it was dark, never breaks for dawn. The laws of physics seem to get suggestions rather than rules. Some drivers have reported driving for what felt like hours, their eyes glued to the fuel gauge, only to see the needle refuse to budge. Others have called in a panic, claiming their full tank of gas somehow evaporated in less than 15 minutes. There's no consistency, no way to predict what will happen. The road makes its own rules. Police departments in multiple jurisdictions have records of calls placed from this road. The transcripts are bizarre. The drivers report that they're lost, that they're on a road they don't recognize and can't get off of. But they aren't panicked. That's the most disturbing part. They sound calm, resigned, almost comfortable. One dispatcher noted it in her log after a call. She wrote, "Caller sounds strangely at ease, not distressed. When I asked for his location, he said it didn't matter. He sounded almost unwilling to leave." Most of these calls end the same way, abruptly. It's not a dropped call. There's no static or crash sound. One moment they're talking and the next there's just that profound dead silence on the line. And after that, person is never seen again. They never arrive at their destination. Their car is never found abandoned on a roadside. No accident report is ever filed. But here's the thing that will keep you up at night. They don't seem to disappear either. It's not like they vanished into thin air. The evidence, the phone calls, the fragmented stories all point to a much more unsettling conclusion. They're still out there. They're still driving. They just never ever exit the road. So the next time you're on a long drive and you take a turn you don't quite remember, pay attention. Pay attention to the silence. Pay attention to the scenery. And hope that the road you're on eventually leads you somewhere. Have you ever taken a wrong turn and ended up somewhere strange? A road that wasn't on any map, a place that felt unsettlingly quiet. Well, some people have, and those few who've made it back, they all talk about the same thing. They describe a road with rules, unspoken rules that you break at your own peril. First rule is the most subtle: do not stop. For any reason, every survivor who pulled over to the shoulder reports the exact same experience. The engine just cuts out. No sputtering, no warning lights on the dash. No sign of mechanical failure. Just sudden, complete silence. And when they get out of the car, they say the air feels wrong. Not cold, not hot, but thin. Like you're breathing at a high altitude, but without any of the usual discomfort. It's just empty. Then they start to hear things. The sound of other engines far off in the distance. They always seem to be coming from just beyond the barriers or the trees lining the road. But you can never see another car. One woman, a survivor, she said she heard her own voice calling her name clear as day, from the other side of a concrete sound wall. Had the presence of mind not to answer. That's why she made it back. Others, perhaps, were not so wise. They stepped out, they responded, and they were never seen again. The second rule is about your driving. Don't change lanes unless you absolutely have to. Drivers who weave in and out of traffic will drift between the lines too often. They report the road itself starts to change. It subtly narrows. The lanes become tighter. The barriers creep closer. It's not something you'd notice right away, just a gradual growing sense of claustrophobia. We've even seen dashcam footage recovered from some of these cars. Analyzed, it shows the lane width shrinking by centimeters over several miles. It's as if the road is actively correcting your behavior, squeezing you into place. It doesn't want you to be reckless. It wants you to be predictable. But the third rule is the worst. Do not acknowledge the signs. At some point along this impossible highway, handwritten signs start to appear. They're not official, not the green and white metal signs you're used to. These are scrawled on cardboard, pieces of plywood, sometimes just spray painted directly onto the overpasses. And the messages they carry are deeply personal, designed to get under your skin. They say things like, "You missed your turn," or "This way is faster," or simply "Keep going." The survivors say the key is to ignore them because the drivers who read them aloud, even just whispering the words to themselves, report hearing them repeated about half a second later from inside the car, not from the radio, from the back seat. One survivor, a truck driver who'd been on the road for 30 years, admitted something else that chills me to the bone. He said the road felt familiar, not in a comforting, nostalgic way, but in a deeply unsettling, recognizable way. He said it was like a place he had imagined in his darkest moments but had never actually visited. His exact words were, "It felt like where I was supposed to be if I'd made different choices." Road paved with regret, a destination for the life you almost lived. Think about that. What if this road isn't just a place, but a manifestation of your own worst path? And here's the most terrifying part. People who stay on that road for too long, they just stop trying to leave. We know this from final phone calls, garbled voicemails left for loved ones. Panic in their voice fades. They stop asking for help. They just accept it. Their last messages are mundane. They talk about adjusting their mirrors, wiping dust off the dashboard, driving carefully. It's as if they're preparing for a very long, very final journey. They're no longer lost. They're residents. Every now and then, highway maintenance crews find these abandoned vehicles. But they're never on the strange road itself. They're found parked neatly on the shoulder of a completely different, unrelated highway, sometimes hundreds of miles away. The engines are still warm. All the personal items, wallets, phones, half-empty coffee cups are still inside. The driver's seat is often freshly adjusted. There's never any sign of a struggle. No evidence of foul play. The cars are just empty. The police can't do anything. The vehicles are towed, eventually scrapped, and the missing person cases go cold. They're forgotten by everyone except the families who wait for a call that will never come. But the road remains. It's out there, quiet and patient, just waiting for the next driver to take a wrong turn, to miss an exit, and to find themselves on a journey with no destination. So next time your GPS glitches or you decide to take a scenic detour you've never tried before, be careful. You never know which turn will be your last. Stay safe out there. There's a detail, one final detail that connects every confirmed case. A common thread that weaves through all the strange occurrences, all the disappearances, all the unexplainable phenomena tied to that one particular road. Every single driver who turned onto that road. Every person who vanished from the known world and into its asphalt embrace was in transit. Not just physically, but emotionally. They were all suspended between two major life events. They were moving to a new city, boxes packed high, leaving a life behind to start another. Or they were returning home after a long time away, filled with a mixture of anticipation and dread. Some were leaving someone, a relationship shattered in the rearview mirror. Others were on their way to a hospital, rushing towards a birth or an illness. Many were driving to a funeral, or more chillingly, driving away from one, the weight of grief heavy on the gas pedal. They were people between things, people in the liminal spaces of their own lives, not quite here, not quite there. This isn't just speculation. There's a breadcrumb trail if you know where to look. Former transportation analyst, a man who spent his life studying the flow of people and vehicles, leaked a document back in 2014. It wasn't classified. It wasn't top secret. In a way, that's worse. It was simply ignored, cast aside as the ramblings of a man who'd stared at maps for too long. In this document, he put forth a radical theory. He suggested that certain stretches of our infrastructure, our highways, our overpasses, our forgotten service roads behaved less like concrete and more like filters. They weren't just a to-be destinations. They were processes. They were places where the act of movement, the state of being in between, mattered more than the arrival itself. He wrote, and I quote, "Some roads are not meant to take you somewhere. They are meant to keep you." A chilling thought, isn't it? The very systems designed to connect us could, in fact, be designed to isolate. As you can imagine, this didn't go over well with his superiors. The analyst was quickly dismissed from his post. He was later reassigned to a meaningless desk job, shuffling papers in a windowless basement office. Then just as quietly, he retired. He vanished into the very system he tried to warn us about. And since then, silence. No one officially investigates the road anymore. Why would they? From a legal or logistical standpoint, there's nothing to investigate. The road doesn't break any laws of physics that we can prove. It doesn't cause accidents or block traffic. In fact, it does the opposite. It seems to solve a certain kind of problem. It doesn't even appear consistently enough to be mapped or studied. You can send a research team to a place that only shows up when it wants to. It only appears when it's needed. Think about that for a moment. What kind of need does a road like this fulfill? It's not a need for faster travel or a scenic route. It's something deeper, something more primal. And here's the most unsettling part. It doesn't trap everyone. It's selective. Countless drivers pass its ephemeral exit ramp every night, completely unaware of its existence. Their GPS doesn't flicker, their radio doesn't crackle with static. They just keep going, focused on their destination. The road isn't looking for them, it's looking for the others. It preys on those who hesitate, those who are unsure not just of the road ahead, but of the entire journey. The ones who are driving on autopilot, lost in thought, questioning every decision that led them to this exact moment, on this exact stretch of highway in the middle of the night. It calls to those who are so adrift in their own lives that they might not even notice. If they never arrive at their intended destination, would anyone miss them? Would they even miss themselves? The road is a predator that feeds on ambiguity. It's a siren song for the lost, a final destination for those who have forgotten how to navigate their own lives. It offers a strange kind of comfort, the promise of an end to the struggle, an end to the constant, exhausting motion. It offers stillness. So here's a piece of advice. If you're driving late at night, the world asleep around you, the only sound the hum of your tires on the pavement, and you see it dot an exit, an off-ramp you've never seen before, one that isn't on any map you own, The sign is weathered, the text simple. Maybe just a single word like elsewhere, or maybe it's just blank. Your gut will tell you something is wrong. But a part of you, the tired part, the part that's weary of the journey, will be tempted. When that moment comes, ask yourself one simple question. Don't ask where the road goes. That's a trick. Question, the destination is irrelevant. Ask yourself this instead. Am I ready to stop moving? Are you ready to give up the fight, to surrender to the inertia? Are you ready for the journey to be over, not with an arrival, but with a disappearance? Because once you take that exit, once your tires touch that strange, silent pavement, the choice is made for you. The city, the world, the universe, it makes an assumption. It assumes you finally found the place where you belong, and it will never look for you again. You'll just be kept. Have you ever heard the whispers about the road that doesn't end? It's a modern myth, a ghost story for the age of asphalt and steel. It begins with the idea that very few people ever leave the road, and those who do, they never really leave it completely. They might return to their lives, to their families, to their jobs, but a part of them, a fundamental part, stays behind. They come back physically, but mentally they're still out there, on that endless stretch of blacktop. The stories are fragmented, scattered across old forums and late-night radio shows. But the earliest confirmed survivor, if you can call her that, appears in a traffic incident report from 1998. It's a strange document. Woman was found parked on the shoulder of a suburban highway just as the sun was coming up. Engine was still running, her fuel tank was nearly full, and there wasn't a scratch on the car. She was just standing outside watching the morning commuters rush by. When the officer approached her, she didn't seem panicked or disoriented. She was calm, almost serene. She looked at him and asked a single, chilling question, is this the direction that keeps going? It turned out she had been missing for 11 hours. Her family had been frantic, searching everywhere, calling everyone they knew. But for her, those 11 hours were a lifetime. Her explanation was simple, yet it defied all logic. She said the road she was on ended, but not in any way we understand. There was no exit ramp, no construction barrier, no concrete wall. It ended with a choice. The road, she described, just kept getting wider and wider, the lanes dissolving into nothing until there were no markings at all. No barriers, no signs, just a vast, silent expanse of open asphalt stretching out to a horizon that never seemed to get any closer. At that moment, standing on the precipice of this impossible space, she had a realization. The road wasn't a loop. It wasn't a glitch in the GPS. It was waiting for her to decide if she actually wanted to arrive anywhere at all. It was a question aimed not at her destination, but at her desire for one. The thought was terrifying. Most of us drive with a purpose, a place to be. But what if the journey itself was the only thing that mattered? She made her choice. She turned the car around. She said the instant she did, the world around her seemed to collapse. The distant lights on the horizon flickered out. The road narrowed violently, like a throat closing. The car radio, which had been silent, burst into a scream of static. And then, just like that, she was back. Back on a familiar highway with the familiar sounds of traffic, the sun rising on a normal day. But nothing was normal anymore. This is a recurring theme among the few who claim to have found this place and returned. They report side effects, lingering echoes of their experience. The most common one is a profound struggle with destinations. It's as if the very concept of arrival has become alien to them. They drive without purpose, finding themselves miles from home with no memory of how they got there. They miss exits they've taken 1,000 times, their muscle memory completely failing them. They unconsciously take longer routes, winding through unfamiliar streets, delaying the inevitable moment, stopping. There's a deep-seated discomfort they feel when they reach a place too quickly. It's a subtle anxiety, a feeling that something is fundamentally wrong with being stationary. Arrival itself feels like a failure. One man, a truck driver who had spent decades on the road, admitted that he still hears the phantom sound of engines when he closes his eyes. Not the sounds from the street outside his window. The sounds are always behind him, gaining on him, a constant reminder of the pursuit. These survivors, these returnees, they also share one peculiar habit, a rule they live by. They never ever drive at night anymore. It's not because they're afraid of the dark or the things that might hide in it. It's because the road, this other road, prefers the darkness. They say it appears more easily when your visibility is limited. When you can't see what's too far ahead, it manifests when the future feels uncertain. The simple act of moving forward feels safer than standing still. The road calls to the lost, the wandering, the people who are running from something, even if they don't know what it is. It preys on the moments when you're driving late at night, your mind drifting, the miles blurring together. You ever have that feeling where you zone out and suddenly realize you don't remember the last 5 miles? That's the space where it waits. The truly haunting part isn't what happens to those who keep going. We can only guess about that. The real story is about those who turn back. They aren't rejected or cast out. They are released. But that release comes with a price. It leaves a memory imprinted not in your mind, but in your bones, in your instincts. Memory your body refuses to forget. They describe the feeling of the other asphalt under their tires, a smoothness that's unnatural. They remember the quality of the silence, a profound quiet that absorbed all sound. They remember the sky, starless and vast, a perfect empty void. These sensations linger, popping up at random moments. The smooth surface of a new parking lot, a moment of perfect quiet in a crowded room. The look of a dark, empty highway at 3 in the morning. Each time it happens, it's a jolt, a reminder of the choice they made. They chose to come back. They chose destinations, rivals, and endings. But they live with the constant, nagging awareness that the other option is still out there. The road that doesn't end is patient. It knows that once you've seen it, you can never truly unsee it. You carry the map to it in your subconscious. So next time you're on a long drive late at night and the world outside your headlights fades to black, pay attention. Pay attention to the feel of the road, the sound of your engine, the silence between songs on the radio. If the lanes start to feel a little too wide, if the horizon seems a little too distant, ask yourself a question. Are you driving to get somewhere? Or are you just driving? Because the road is always listening for your answer. Official reports on missing persons often leave out one crucial detail. Not everyone wants to be found. Some drivers, somewhere along the endless stretches of asphalt, simply choose the road. They stop calling for help, stop checking their maps. They stop asking how much further, how much longer. They just adapt. Traffic cameras, those tireless, unblinking eyes of the city, have captured anomalies that defy easy explanation. Cars reported missing for weeks, appearing for a fleeting moment on a completely unrelated highway. Hundreds of miles away, they don't just vanish, they fade frame by frame. As if transitioning to a different layer of reality, insurance companies and toll agencies have their own strange data, records of drivers still paying for tolls months, sometimes years, after their official disappearance. Automated systems charge their accounts for crossing bridges and using tunnels on roads they shouldn't be anywhere near. Then eventually the charges stop. Not because the account is closed or the card expires. It's because the car no longer requires tolls to travel. It's become part of the system. Maintenance crews working the lonely midnight shifts have stories. They report seeing headlights way out in the distance, far beyond the physical limits of any known road, perfectly aligned, moving smoothly like ghosts on a highway that isn't there. They never get closer, never get farther away. They just glide along, as if the road itself has a depth we can't perceive, as if it extends into another dimension. What is this place? Some believe the road network has become a living entity, a vast concrete organism. Others think it's a kind of system, an emergent behavior that grew out of a century of layered infrastructure. Concrete that remembers every vehicle that's passed over it. Asphalt shaped by a million moments of indecision and 1,000 forks in the road. A place formed not by city planners and engineers, but by the collective will of all the people who never reached their destination. There's one theory that's particularly unsettling. It suggests that the road is where unfinished versions of ourselves end up. Not dead, not quite alive, just paused, stuck in a loop. Think about it. Drivers who spend too much time in this in-between space seem to stop aging in the normal way. Their clothes get worn, their cars rust and degrade, but in every fleeting sighting, the drivers themselves look exactly the same as the day they disappeared. Preserved in a single moment, they become a permanent part of the flow. They are no longer drivers. They are traffic itself, pure movement without a destination, a constant, unending journey. And maybe, just maybe, the city allows it, maybe it even encourages it, because our cities were built with one primary purpose: to keep things moving, to ensure the flow is never interrupted. The system doesn't really care where anyone is going as long as they don't stop, as long as they never ever block the road. This idea has roots deeper than just modern highways. Think of old folklore, the tales of phantom travelers and ghost ships doomed to sail the seas forever. The Flying Dutchman of the freeway. It's the same archetype, updated for the age of the automobile. The fear isn't just about getting lost, it's about losing yourself to the journey. Becoming so engrossed in the act of traveling that the destination ceases to matter and then ceases to exist entirely. Imagine the psychology of a person on the verge of this transition. Maybe they were running from something, a failed marriage, a mountain of debt, a past they couldn't face. The road offered an escape. First, it was just a temporary relief. The drone of the engine, the rhythm of the lane markers, the anonymity of being just another car in a river of steel. But then days turn into weeks. The world outside the windshield starts to feel less real. The problems they were fleeing begin to fade, not because they're solved, but because they belong to a world that no longer feels connected to this one. Their car becomes their entire world. The glove compartment is their pantry, the back seat their bedroom, the radio their only companion, playing snippets of news and music from a life they're slowly forgetting. They learn the secret language of the road, the flicker of a distant trucker's lights, the subtle shift in the hum of the tires on different types of pavement. These become more meaningful than any human conversation. First real sign that you're crossing over might be when you notice the impossible. You're low on gas, miles from the nearest station, but the needle never quite hits empty. Your engine makes a terrible noise, a sign of catastrophic failure, but it just keeps running. The road provides. It sustains those who commit to it. It rewrites its own rules for its chosen inhabitants. What about the other drivers? The ones still tied to the real world. We see them, these phantom cars. We just don't register them. Beat-up sedan in our blind spot that seems to appear from nowhere. Headlights in the rearview mirror that tailgate us for miles through a desolate stretch only to be gone the next time we look. We dismiss it as a trick of the light, our tired minds playing games on a long drive. We never consider that we just shared the road with someone who left our reality months ago. The infrastructure itself conspires to keep them hidden. The glitches in the traffic camera footage, the errors in the toll systems. Perhaps they aren't errors at all. Perhaps they are the system's way of self-correcting, of papering over the cracks in reality to maintain a semblance of order for the rest of us. The city needs its illusion of control of a world where every car has a registered owner and a planned destination. This is the ultimate liminal space, not just the physical space of the highway, but a psychological one, a state of being caught between departure and arrival, and for some that state is preferable to either. It's a kind of peace, a terrible, lonely, endless peace. They are no longer running from their problems, they have outrun reality itself. They are the quiet hum you hear on the highway late at night when you ray the only one for miles. They are the reason you sometimes feel like you're being watched even in the middle of nowhere. They are the ghost in the machine, and the machine is always, always moving. So next time you're on a long road trip and the hours start to blur together, pay attention. Pay attention to the strange car that seems to be keeping pace with you. Pay attention to the feeling that the road is stretching on just a little too long. And ask yourself, are you just driving or are you becoming part of the drive? Have you ever been driving late at night, the world reduced to the tunnel of your headlights, and felt a strange sense of continuity, as if the road could just go on forever? Well, what if it could? There's a story, a whisper among late-night truckers and solitary commuters, about a road that has never been officially closed. Authorities don't deny its existence, they simply ignore it, because to acknowledge it would mean they'd have to explain something our modern world, our cities, aren't built to understand. They'd have to explain why some people just vanish. Not through violence, not through chaos, they just disappear quietly, without breaking a single thing. This isn't a story about abduction. Road doesn't take anyone against their will. It offers something far more subtle and for some, far more seductive. It offers continuity. It's a haven for those who are afraid of arrival, for those who are terrified of who they might become once they finally stop moving. Think about it. Life is a series of destinations, of arrivals. The end of school, the start of a job, the beginning of a family, the end of a relationship. Each arrival forces you to become someone new, to face a new reality. But what if you're not ready? What if the person you'll be at the destination is someone you don't want to meet? The road understands this fear. It doesn't force you to stay. It just makes staying incredibly easy. On this road, there are no deadlines breathing down your neck. There are no difficult decisions to be made. There are no final moments. No painful goodbyes. There is only the hum of the engine, the blur of the landscape, and pure, uninterrupted forward motion. It's the ultimate escape from the pressure of becoming. You might think this sounds like a myth, a modern folk tale, but there are hints if you know where to look. Some urban planners have started to quietly adjust their designs. You might notice more signage on certain highways, clearer markings for exits, fewer of those ambiguous, looping ramps that can leave you feeling disoriented. It's not about preventing accidents, it's about preventing something else. It's about preventing hesitation, because hesitation is the invitation. That moment when you're on a long, dark stretch of highway, when you lift your foot from the accelerator just for a second, unsure of your exit, unsure of your destination, unsure of yourself. That's the moment the road feels your uncertainty. That's when the possibility opens up. It's a subtle shift. The lane markings might seem a little brighter. The sound of the wind changes its pitch. The other cars seem to thin out, their headlights fading into a uniform distant glow. The real danger isn't a sudden turn or a dead end. The danger is that the road becomes comfortable. The forward motion becomes its own purpose. The questions that were chasing you about your job, your relationships, your future, they begin to fade. The anxiety melts away, replaced by the simple, hypnotic rhythm of driving. You might not even notice it happening. Days, weeks, maybe longer could pass in what feels like a single, seamless night. The need to eat, to sleep, to connect, it all recedes. The only thing that matters is the drive. So, if you find yourself driving late one night and the road ahead begins to feel truly endless, pay attention. If you suddenly realize you can't remember exactly why you started driving or where you were originally going, do a quick check. Look in your rearview mirror. Are the lights behind you a little too consistent? Do they seem to be keeping a perfect, unchanging distance? Do they feel less like individual cars and more like a permanent part of the scenery? If that happens, you have to act. Take the next exit. Don't care if it's the wrong one. I don't care if it sends you miles out of your way. Take it, even if it delays you, even if it makes you late. Because arriving late is still arriving. It means you chose a destination. You chose to stop. And that's the secret. The road only truly opens for the people who don't mind never getting there. It's a trap made of freedom, a cage without bars. It preys on the part of us that wishes we could just keep running forever. So the next time you're on a long drive, remember to have a destination in mind, a real one. Place, a person, a goal, something to pull you forward, something to bring you home. Because out there in the dark, there are roads that are more than happy to let you drive forever. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy diving into these kinds of mysteries, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We'll see you in the next one. Drive safe.